Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to week 3 of the college football season. We are so excited. It is Rick Kamla. It is Josh Chevalier. It is the prop show on Fantasy Points. Josh, let's get this going, man. We got a lot of props to give to the people. How you doing? Are you ready, man? We're coming out of week 2, going into week 3. You feeling this? You ready?
Oh yeah, man. I feel like, man, we've been doing all right on this show and giving people some good content, at least some entertainment. So I'm excited, man, for this week though. I love these props we got lined up here, and it's gonna be fun to just talk ball, man.
It is. And we're going to talk a lot of ball here. We're going to get into some props. We got to talk about Drake May and where we're going with how you should treat him in fantasy leagues and just moving forward. Also, Darius Taylor. I do want to talk about your guy, the running back from Minnesota. Time permitting, we'll give you a couple of picks against the spread as well. But props. It's the prop show. So let's dive in, man. Michael Penix Jr., 349 and a half yards at Michigan State. Josh, go first, man. You like the over here, or are you going under on Penix at Michigan State?
Yeah, I'm going over. I think this is a pretty easy over. I mean, this guy has been crushing it this year. Last year against Michigan State, it was really his coming out party in a lot of ways. I think he had 394 yards passing in this game. And so I feel like this is, I don't want to say easy money, but as long as he doesn't get hurt, this feels like this is a smash play here, in my opinion.
349 and a half for Michael Penix Jr. I'm going to go over on this one as well. Michigan State has not played a team yet that has a passer or a passing game. So this is going to be like they're going to be in like open water here, right? You've got a team that throws over 40 times per game, Washington. Josh, we've talked about this jokingly, but it's true. It's literally 5-step drop, 7-step drop. Penix just hucks it deep. I mean, it's a really fun offense. Last year, Michigan State gave up 238 through the air. Obviously, not a good number. Penix is averaging 429 this year. And I don't. This team is like 45, 50 points like every week. I just don't. I don't think that there's a whole lot of talent there in Michigan State. They can't stop Penix, man. I will go over, even though it's a huge number. All right, we both agree on that. Shedeur Sanders, Josh Chevalier, 339 and a half. I did see a number at 341 as well. Let's call it 340 for the people here, thereabouts. Over or under on Shedeur Sanders at home against Colorado State late night, Saturday night?
Yeah, I'm thinking we're probably going to agree on this, as Dion definitely has his Heisman campaign ready for his son. I mean, this guy just wants to launch it with his son. And, Colorado State week 1 against Washington State gives up 450 plus yards passing to Cam Ward. I mean, I just can't see where, again, unless Shedeur gets hurt, this seems like a pretty obvious smash, in my opinion, with all the wide receiver weapons he has and Dylan Edwards out of the backfield. I mean, smash play for me for sure.
I'm over on this one as well. The head coach, Coach Norvell of Colorado State, talked junk about Dion, ESPN game. And, he talked about, take your hat off and take your shades off when you're talking to grown-ups. I mean, completely disrespectful. And Dion's pissed. And so he said, they're going to make it personal here. I already liked the over, Josh, but I may add another unit or two based on that, all right? It was personal against Nebraska, and we saw what happened. Obviously, Nebraska's defense really played well in that first half, but pedal to the metal. And then Dion and the guys didn't let up. They ran away with another cover in that game. Colorado State has played one game. That's a problem, right? They're not in game condition yet. Most teams have played 2. Some have played 3. They've only played 1. They gave up 451, as you were talking about, to Cam Ward. You mentioned the Heisman. I think that matters too, right? Stats matter. You have to go beat Caleb Williams, who's going to have 4,500, 4,800 yards, 50 touchdowns. Like, okay, so that means every game you've got to go off, especially in a cupcake matchup like this. Like 450 and 4 or 5 touchdowns is required from Shedeur Sanders in this one if you want to get those style points, if you want to continue to rack up those stats that might get you a Heisman. So I'm with you, my man. I'm over on 340-ish as well. Talk to me about Bo Nix here, Josh. It's the prop show on Fantasy Points. Rick Kamla and Josh Chevalier talking college football in advance of week 3. We got Bo Nix, 2.5 passing touchdowns. They're playing Hawaii this week. You going over or under?
Yeah, I do think this is a good number that Prize Picks has put out there at 2.5. I don't think it's a smash over, but it feels like, man, Hawaii over the first couple weeks they played. They had Vandy week 1 with AJ Swan, and he went for 3 touchdowns, and then Sanford went for 2 in their game, and so it feels like to me that Bo Nix can hit this number. I guess ultimately we know this guy had 14 rushing touchdowns last year, right? So Bo Nix, when they get close to the goal line, he may take that. Marquise Irving may run. They got an explosive offense, right? So there is a little unpredictability to this line for me, but it does feel like Bo Nix can hit this for sure, in my opinion, especially the way with new offensive coordinator Will Stein. Like that passing game seems to be humming, and him and Troy seem to have a really good good chemistry, man. And it seems like I could see definitely a couple touchdowns alone to Troy in this game. So we'll ultimately see, I guess, what happens. But I would feel comfortable going over on this one.
All right, Josh is over on Bo Nix at 2.5 touchdowns. I'm gonna stay away on this one. He in the last 15 games, he's over this number 5 times. So he's probably going to go over. But based on that stat right there, there's a lot of 2s on his touchdown pass column. It is an unbelievable matchup against Hawaii. So I will give this to you, Josh. I will wish you luck with this one. I'm going to remain on the sidelines for this particular one. Now, KJ Jefferson is at home against BYU, Josh. 197 passing yards, 197.5 passing yards. So he threw for 246 against Western Carolina, 136 last week against Kent State, only attempted 19 passes. It was a blowout, but it was not the blowout that I anticipated. They did not cover the spread, but they barely threw the rock, right? So that's kind of a throw it out. He's over in the other game on this number, 3 stud wide receivers, including Andrew Armstrong, who we may have time to talk about a little bit later on. He's averaging 239 on the season here. And look, Josh, I think BYU is legit, right? It's not, Central Arkansas State or something like that, right? Like, I mean, it's BYU. They're a Power 5 team right now. So that, I think, is going to force KJ Jefferson to throw the rock and play the entire game. And, I mean, KJ Jefferson over 200 yards, basically. Yeah, I would smash this one. Where are you at with KJ Jefferson?
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think this is a good game for them to try to establish a Dan Enos calling plays there again to establish this passing game. Rocket is out of this game again, right? And BYU gave up 147 to Sam Houston State a couple weeks ago, and they don't have an explosive passing attack necessarily. And then they gave up 235 to Southern Utah. Now, if you're telling me that Southern Utah is hitting 235, and KJ Jefferson can't do that, I think this is a good number here for KJ, and I think they're going to rely on him to win this game.
It's kind of oddly low, 197.5. I would go over on this one. Haynes King, Georgia Tech QB, 222.5 at Ole Miss, Josh. All right. Big step up in class from South Carolina State last week for Tech. You going over or under Haynes King at 222.5?
Yeah, this is another one that I would actually, honestly, I would probably stay away because I'm just unsure about Mississippi. I mean, they looked pretty good against Tulane this last week. And, with Pete Golding coming in as their DC, I'm still kind of wait and see mode there. But I will say this, if I thought that this is the same Ole Miss's defense as last year, I love this Georgia Tech offense so far with, with Buster coming in, Faulkner, and he seems to have really transformed this. And Hayne King seems to be thriving in ways that he didn't thrive at Texas A&M. I mean, I'll let you throw out some other numbers here, but if I knew that this defense was the same as last year, I would smash this over because I think 222.5 is a low number. But I'm just a little afraid of what I don't know.
I understand. I mean, it's Haynes King, right? It's Georgia Tech. We're used to, Paul Johnson, the triple option offense, and so, right? I mean, we're so ready for something new. And then Jeff Collins takes over, and it's just an ish show for his little run there. And now Brent Key, as you mentioned, Cooley and Haynes out of the backfield, both studs. Rutherford and Lane can go, and they've been catching balls here pretty nicely from Haynes King. I just think it's a game script thing. I think, Ole Miss is Ole Miss. They're going to score the rock, especially at home. So Tech's going to have to keep up. But they got the horses this year. I mean, I don't see them winning the game, but I think they can move the rock and put some points on the board here. It's 222.5. He's averaging 300 on the year. And so I like it. I would go over on Haynes King at 222.5. One more QB here. Let's talk about Drake May. And again, we'll dive into what fantasy managers should be doing about him and take a deeper dive into my perceived issues with Drake May. But let's talk about his passing yard prop here, Josh. 264.5. They're at home against my alma mater, Minnesota. Where are you at with this one?
Yeah, I'm going under on this. I mean, we've talked about Chip Lindsey. We'll probably talk about him more at some point. But, man, I think some play callers just have tendencies, and he doesn't seem to want to pass the ball very much. And so, and this Minnesota defense is good.
Yes, they
right?
are.
I mean, at least so far, right?
Yes.
They gave up 114 to Nebraska, passing yards, 71 to Eastern Michigan. And so if you're going to tell me, I think the way for North Carolina to win this game is they're going to have to pound the rock. And so on top of Chip Lindsey's, tendencies as a play caller, I'm going to say definite under on this.
I would go under as well. 264.5 is the number here. He's averaging 238 per game on the season. Minnesota has studs in the secondary. They turned over Jeff Sims 3 times with interceptions. And they're talented and they fly around and they're really ball hawking that secondary. So, and again, we'll talk in greater detail about this, but you mentioned the shifting offense from Longo to Lindsey, and it's really thrown North Carolina off. I would go under as well on 264.5. I can't believe I'm saying that here, Josh. It's the Prop Show on Fantasy Points. Rick Kamla and Josh Chevalier breaking down week 3 in college football prop style. Damian Martinez, Josh, our boy, 109.5 at home against San Diego State. Up or down?
Yeah, last week I went over on this, and I don't know if you saw his final number, but I think it was like 104, and the number on Prize Picks was 105.5. He had 7 carries, 104 yards, and they just like, nah, no more carries. Josh picked the over, so we're going under here. But this week I'm going over again because, again, this is what Damian Martinez does, and I think San Diego State's going to put up more of a fight than, of course, UC Davis did last week. He's not going to just get 7 carries. I think this is another game for him to go over. And, the prop is already up. I mean, 109.5 is not where it started. So people are picking the over on this. I think it started at 105.5. So I'm going to go with the crowd and say, yeah, Damian Martinez over on this.
Me as well. He's averaging 124 on the year. San Diego State gives up 129. Come on, man. I mean, it's and he's a stud and he's their bell cow. So we both agree on Damian Martinez over 109.5. Let's talk Roman Hemby, the lead back for the Maryland Terps. They're going to be tomorrow night on national TV against UVA, who is dreadful. So you've got 15.5 fantasy points on Roman Hemby. Talk to me, Josh, over or under that number?
Yeah, I'm going to say over, and I'm going to tell you why I picked fantasy points on this one. This is a guy that catches balls out of the backfield, right? He's a dual threat in that way. And so we don't know how he's going to get his yards necessarily, right? He should get a ton of rushing yards. That's what he's done so far this year. But he's also had, he's had a 55-yard passing or receiving game as well. And so I just think it's easy enough to go, all right, I know you can get 15 and a half, pretty easily. So I'm going to go Roman Hemby 15.5 over. UVA has just been destroyed on the ground against Tennessee. We know what Dylan Sampson did against them and Jalen Wright and Jabari Small. And then last week, my alma mater JMU went in and Tyson Lawton, had like 9 carries and just, was able to run pretty much at will against them. And he was the second, third string running back. So I think Roman Hemby won't have a problem here. He is the bell cow in this backfield. I think he had 59 carries last week 59 snaps last week against Charlotte. The next closest back had like 10. So it's a bell cow. 15.5 should be no problem against UVA.
I completely agree with that, and I'm going to double down here and hit the people with why can't I read this number right here? I had Hemby over. I guess I screwed up and didn't put the number in here. Dang it! But his prize pick rushing yard prop. I guess I didn't put the number in here. That's my bad. But I like it, and I'll try to pull it up here real quick for the people. But Roman Hemby here, guys. UVA has allowed 227 rushing yards per game. 227, 5.3 yards per carry. 79.5 is the number for Roman Hemby. Come on, man.
Okay.
We're hitting this number. He's averaging 110. We're going over here. Over the points, 15.5. Over the rushing yards at 79.5 on Roman Hemby. He's Josh Chevalier. I'm Rick Kamla. We are the prop show on Fantasy Points, breaking down week 3 in college football with Nathan Carter, running back for Michigan State. It's been a hot shot so far, Josh. 80.5 at home against Michael Penix Jr. and the Washington Huskies. Are you worried about game script here and Washington getting out and moving up by 3 touchdowns and shifting maybe, the rushing attack from Michigan State to a passing attack? Talk to me about where you are here with Nathan Carter at 80.5.
Yeah, I think that's a legitimate concern for sure. And I think ultimately here, I'm going to stay away on this for what you just mentioned. And, you know, I think you look at his initial numbers, right? 111 yards against Central Michigan. You have 113 against Richmond last week. And I feel like if this was like a combined, like rushing, receiving, then maybe it's a little bit easier to go for. But, this isn't. It's just rushing yards. And I think they're going to have to play catch up in this game. And I think that's going to be tough for them to do. Games like what you're alluding to, right? Game script is probably a little bit uncertain in this one. So this isn't a lock by any stretch.
I like all the points you made right there. I am still going to go over on this because Washington does not defend the run well. Game script is an issue. But if my man pops 155-yarder, we're going over here. But Washington's just not good at defending the run. 153 they allow per game on the ground, 4.5 yards per carry. And Nathan is averaging right now 112 in rushing yards per game. He came into the season, Josh, as you know, in what maybe looked like a timeshare with Jalen Berger, but the pendulum has swung towards Carter, and he is the guy there at Michigan State. Now, let's talk about your guy, my guy, Lane's guy, Quinshon Judkins, at home against Georgia Tech. We got 102.5 with the rushing yards. Where are you at? You going up or down on this one?
Yeah. I'm officially on alert with Quinshon Judkins. I'm not concerned with Quinshon's talent, but I am concerned with that O-line. I mean, they have faced 2 opponents, and like he 48 yards against Tulane, 60 yards against Mercer. Now he didn't play the whole game, obviously, against Mercer, but
right.
Man, I'm a little concerned, and so this is an under for me against Georgia Tech, and I'll let you. I think you probably have a differing opinion here, but ultimately, I need to see Quinshon do it at this point.
Yeah, I will actually. I will go over on this one for a couple of reasons. I like the bet, but there's a little bit of a zig and a zag here. Like we I don't know. We agree a lot. So I do want to spice it up here a little bit, but I like it, and here's why. Again, Georgia Tech's defense cannot stop the run. They've given up 211 per game on the ground, 5.6 yards per carry on the ground. So it's just such a great matchup. It's at home against Georgia Tech. Your concerns are completely valid. I mean, come on, you're getting stonewalled by Tulane. What is going on here? They do have a pretty good defense, the Green Wave, but I mean, come on, this is an SEC school. They should be flexing on a team like the Green Wave. And also the principle of due is going to be invoked by me here because we got Quinshon Judkins, arguably the top back in the nation at 108 on the season. Like he's due for an eruption. And we'll find out, right? If he pops off for 170 in this game, then, that offensive line solves some of the issues. They exploited a bad defense, but I actually like it. Josh is going under here on Judkins. Your boy Cam is going over on Quinshon Judkins. I would not double up units on this one. I would not, okay, based on everything Josh said, but I would take the over here. How about Jaquavius Marks of Mississippi State? They're playing LSU this week. 15.5 fantasy points, Josh. You going over or under on that?
Yeah, my man's new nickname, Jaquavius Marks, is League Winner because this guy has been unbelievable, right? He's
No
a
more
great
Dylan
value.
Johnson. No more timeshare, right? It's all
Yeah,
his.
and different offense for sure. R.I.P. Mike Leach, but holy cow! Like, talk about a guy that's probably made himself some money this year. Like 15 and a half fantasy points. To me, it's an over on this, and I think LSU is a good defense. So don't get me wrong on that. But what I think with Jaquavius Marks is we know that he is an elite pass catcher. And in the first couple of games, he's had plenty of catches out of the backfield. He's had at least 150-yard game. And I can't remember what he did in the second one. But, and he's also rushed for over 100 yards in both games as well. And so, I mean, this is a guy that can do it through the air, on the ground. I mean, he is a bell cow like you've talked about. So to me, this is an over against LSU, despite how good they are as a team.
It's not a great matchup, but it's all about volume. He's got 43 carries on the season. Last year, he would have had 43 carries, maybe in the first four games, right?
Yep.
Dylan Johnson is in Washington now. 250 yards. Yeah, I like over on 15 and a half for Jaquavius Marks against LSU. Now, I want to hit you with just a stack, a Buffalo stack. Okay. And I'm not talking about like a 3-patty Buffalo burger. Okay. I'm talking about a Buffalo stack here. I'm talking about Xavier Weaver, 83 and a half receiving yards. They're at home against Colorado State. We both like the over on Shedeur Sanders. Xavier Weaver's at 83.5, averaging 144. I'm going to go over on that number. Travis Hunter was a little quiet last week, and I think that's going to turn his fortunes around. As just the pendulum swings back towards him a little bit, he's still averaging Travis Hunter 96 yards per game, 76 and a half is our number here. Jimmy Horn averages 90, 84 and a half is his prop here on Prize Picks. Josh, we talked about this, I believe, last week and perhaps even the week before. Well, not the week before, because we didn't know it was going to be like this going into the TCU game. But knowing that it is like Caleb Williams and Penix and like this right there with the top explosive offenses in college football, I will play the over on all three of these guys. I think I'm going to hit all three, but I know I'm not going to go under on two of these. You can't lose. So I think you're going over on at least two of these guys, probably all three. But Weaver at 83.5, Hunter at 76.5, and Horn 84.5. Are you stacking them? Are you mixing and matching? What are you doing here?
Yeah, I think I'd feel real comfortable with Weaver and Hunter this week. I mean, I think one thing that, I didn't take into consideration as much as I should have last week with Xavier Weaver is he was the wide receiver one at USF while him and Jimmy Horn were on the same team. And it wasn't really close. Now we have a 2-year sample size there of them together. And so he's just like, for whatever reason, he's the better receiver between those two. And I think, again, like, I don't think I gave that enough credit last week. So I think 83 and a half is a smash for that dude. I mean, I think he's going to get that. I mean, he's clearly talented. He's creating separation like crazy in this offense. And then Travis Hunter, man, he just got shadowed by the top corner on the other team. And I don't think it matters who the top corner for Colorado State is. They're not stopping Travis Hunter after they gave up 168 yards to Lincoln Victor in week 1 and then 97 to Josh Kelly. So those two for sure. I'm going over on those two. And then Jimmy Horn, I probably just stay away from just because the chance of all three of them hitting is probably not great. So I'm going to go with the two that I feel the strongest with, and then I'm going to stay away from the other.
Okay, so you're not under Horn, you're staying away on Horn. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Too unpredictable.
All right, so Cam is over, JC is a stay away on Jimmy Horn. I dig it, man. I dig it. It's going to be fun to watch. 10 p.m. Eastern time, Saturday night. It'll be Colorado State at Colorado, and the Dion Show will be back on TV, and a lot of us will be very, very happy about that. Take me into Brian Thomas, the wide receiver for LSU here. Josh, 13 fantasy points for him. Obviously, we just talked about they're going to play Mississippi State. Where are you at with this one?
Yeah. Well, Brian Thomas has been, to me, the surprising wide receiver one in that offense so far to start this year. And he's been, over 100 yards, I think, in both games. If not, then he definitely smashed their first game. And his fantasy points, I think he's averaging like 28 a game or something crazy right now. We have Tet McMillan last week. He went for 161 yards on 8 catches and a touchdown. And he's an outside receiver primarily. That's what Brian Thomas plays as well. I just think that this is at 13 fantasy points. It's pretty obvious to me that he should be able to go over in this matchup against Mississippi State. And then 51.5 receiving yards. It's the same. Like, yeah, like this guy's going to go over 51.5. I think, to be honest, I think this is one of the best bets on Prize Picks right now. Both of these.
The 51.5 yards for Brian Thomas is very enticing. He's averaging 110. The ball will be flying through the air in this game. Now, obviously not like, with the previous regime with Will Rogers throwing for over 4,000 yards with the air raid and spreading the ball all around. Frankly, it's a complete buzzkill. I absolutely hate Mississippi State's offense right now. I hate it. I'm a big Will Rogers guy. I think he really profiles as a Jared Goff type of guy for me in the NFL. Not spectacular, but just like a meat and potatoes QB, man. You protect him, he will get the rock out, and it'll be on time and it'll be on target. And it was just fun to watch him spray, the whole field with balls, right?
Yeah.
And we don't get that anymore. It's a total buzzkill, kind of like what Lindsey's doing to Drake May, which we're going to talk about here in just a sec. But I would be over the 13 points on Brian Thomas. I would be over the 51.5 receiving yards as well. You mentioned Troy Franklin's name earlier. Let's dive into his prop right now. 79.5 receiving yards for the top receiver on the Oregon Ducks. They got Hawaii this week. So where are you at? 79.5. You going up on this one?
Yeah, I am. And I think he's the dominant wide receiver one here. I mean, we've seen Hawaii just give up pretty big numbers to Vanderbilt in week 1. So for me, like, this is pretty obvious. He's going to play at least the whole first half, at least, right? Maybe even the first 3 quarters. And yeah, I don't see a way that Troy Franklin doesn't get to this number against Hawaii this week.
This isn't one that popped off to me, but I like it. I would rock with you on this one. Just because, I don't know, like the Hawaii thing, right? It's like, how much of a blowout is it going to be? Like, are you going to get up by 35 and rest dudes? I don't know. But I do like it. I mean, the guy's averaging 104 receiving yards on the year. We're 79.5. You got one of the best QBs in college football. It's a great matchup. So I would rock with you on that. Now, I'm on Jamari Thrash, the wide receiver for Louisville. And I'm telling you, I cannot wait to draft this guy in my dynasty fantasy leagues in the NFL. I love him. He's got phone booth quick twitch, like we're in that phone booth, dude, right there. Give a little stutter to the right, zig back to the left, make the dude miss. He's like grabbing and flailing. Really elusive, great hands. Goes up and grabs the football. Like, I like Jamari Thrash. 75.5 yards. They're playing Indiana at Lucas Oil Stadium, so a neutral field here. He's averaging 85. Indiana last year allowed 274 per game through the air. Obviously, it's a little bit too early to look at their number this year. They did limit Kyle McCord to 239 in week 1, and then last week was just kind of a throw-it-out game. But I think McCord also isn't very good, okay? And so, I can't give a ton of credit to the Indiana defense, but I give you Jamari Thrash at 75.5 yards, Josh. You going over, under, or you staying away on this one?
Yeah, I'm going over just because he's the wide receiver 1 in a Jeff Brom offense, and those wide receivers, the David Bells of the world, right?
Good
the Charlie
call.
Jones.
Good call.
It's high volume, right? So even if he gets 8 catches, he's getting 80 yards. And Jack Plummer's a bit of a concern. I mean, he's just not a very good quarterback. But yeah. But other than that, I mean, I think with Indiana, they should be fine and should be able to put up points. Again, Indiana, yeah, they limited Ohio State, but I think there'll be enough here for Jamari Thrash to be able to hit it and be fine in this one for sure.
One more prop for the people, Josh. It is Andrew Armstrong, Arkansas wide receiver. And you've got, gosh, help me out with, is it Jaden Wilson? You've got Tesla. You've got a 3-pack of wide receivers in Arkansas. Okay. We both like the over on KJ Jefferson, their quarterback at 197.5. They're at home against BYU. Armstrong's numbers at 47.5. Like you with Brian Thomas, I just don't think this number is accurate. Okay. Based on his yards this year, he's got 99 yards. So we chopped that in two and we're at 44.5 below this number. But both games were against Cupcakes. He didn't even play the whole game, right? I believe that BYU is going to require Arkansas to play the entire football game and play 60 minutes of football. If that happens, and I believe it will, Armstrong's going to have 50 yards. I mean, we like KJ's over here, so it's one that, so 50 plus, all three guys get 50. Okay, we're only at 150. It's got to be more than that. And I think KJ Jefferson's going to soar over 197.5. So I'm liking this, man. For Andrew Armstrong here at 47.5. Are you stay away? Or are you up or down on Andrew Armstrong?
Yeah, I mean, Armstrong, like for those that don't know who he is, he's a 6'6" dude that was a deep threat at Texas A&M Commerce, right, in the FCS level. And so this is a guy, man, that if he can hit a couple big plays, he got 2 catches for 50 yards and hit this prop. And that's really no problem for him. And he certainly looks like the wide receiver 1 in this offense. And so I'm with you, man. I think this is a good one. I like Andrew Armstrong. He's proven himself for the first couple of weeks of the season. And I think I'm pretty skeptical on BYU's pass defense personally. So I think this is a good one. I like it. I'm over.
You should be. Last year, their pass defense was awful. Again, this year, right, you're not playing very stiff competition, so their passing numbers against look very, very good, but I'm not buying it. I think KJ's going to get it done. I think Arkansas they're going to light up the squad. I just like the over here. I mean, these are small numbers, 197 for KJ Jefferson and his passing yard prop, and then Armstrong is here at 47.5. These are very, very small numbers. Okay. Josh. It is Rick Kamla and Josh Chevalier on the prop show on Fantasy Points. I have been waiting all week to talk with you about this. Is Drake May a bench, a start, a hold, or a trade away? Let me take you into my thoughts here. I don't even want to start talking about Chip Lindsey because it angers me. Okay, he has ruined Drake May with his offense. And frankly, Mac Brown has ruined Drake May by hiring this stiff. Okay. So I'm like bummed on a homie to homie level. You know that Drake May is the homie. I don't like watching Drake May this year. They have ruined Drake May. And it's offensive play calling. It's not like Drake May all of a sudden sucks. He doesn't. He's still going to be, to me, the number 2 pick in the 2024 NFL draft. Week 1 against South Carolina, 269. 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Last week against App State, at home, we throw for 208, no touchdown, no interception, 57 yards and 1 touchdown in an overtime game. Okay, so at that point, Josh, and I won the game. I won both of my games where I started Drake May. In 2 leagues, I won them both. I said, I'm out. Okay, and so I immediately started shopping Drake May on Saturday night. I traded him in John Michael's league that you and I are both in. I traded him for Cameron Ward of Washington State on Saturday night. Josh, this is how I am, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not illogical or irrational, but when I feel that heat of, oh, wow, I have a dud on my hand. I've got the poison pill in my hand. I unload it and I will take 70 cents on the dollar. I'm not going to no, buy. I can't do it. Just when I know it, I know it. Okay. He's averaging 238 per game with passing yards. That puts him on a pace for 3,100 yards. Last year threw for 4,300. He's on pace for 13 touchdown passes. Last year threw 38. Okay. It's DEFCON 1 for me. And Josh, I shopped Drake May for Penix and Nix and Jordan Travis. And I even attached maybe a wide receiver to that quarterback, right? To try to entice that other manager. Nobody was biting. It feels like everybody knows what's going on with Drake May right here. So I was able to flip him in both of my leagues for Cameron Ward. And it was just sort of a sweet spot, right? I think people are sleeping on Cam Ward a little bit. I don't think he's generated a huge name yet. And then versus what Cameron Ward is doing, you still have some people may think, oh, wow, Drake May, like he'll work his way out of this, right? Maybe just a slow start or a slump or something. I don't think it's a slump. I think it's his OC. So I'm
Yeah.
out. I've already cut the cord, my brother. I've turned Drake May into Cameron Ward, and I'm moving on with my college football season. How are you treating this, and what would your advice be to people?
Yeah, I mean, if you can get Cam Ward for Drake May, then I think I would do that at this point because I mean, and that's kind of the threshold for me, right? Like, I don't know if he's a drop, because I do think even if he's not getting these crazy passing numbers that he was before, um, he still has dual threat ability, right? Our boy, um, Scott here at Fantasy Points, Scott Barrett, he calls them Konami code quarterbacks, right? These cheat codes. He is still that. And so in that way, like I would say he still holds value. But the question really is, and I guess it's all dependent on your scoring system and stuff like that. But the question is what is his ceiling seems to be limited now. And like I think Tez Walker not playing is really hurting that offense because you have guys that are playing a little bit out of what they're playing above their talent level, right? Trying to do things that they can't normally do. But if you have a wide receiver one, then you have guys that can play within their strengths. And Tez Walker's not there. And so if he doesn't come back, then that's an issue. In my opinion, Nate McCollum's not there, right? Like, or he's limited at least.
Right, right.
And so, so we're not really seeing the weapons that we thought we were going to see. We're not really seeing. So, I think all of that plays into this. And for me, I may hold him, but I think what you're doing with trading and being aggressive early on, I mean, this is the best his value is going to be, right? It's only going to drop from here.
It's only going to drop.
So, and Minnesota is going to make him look bad. That's the other thing.
You.
Is that so?
Thank you. So I was like, I'm not going to play Drake May this week against Minnesota. I'm not. I don't trust it. Minnesota's defense is pretty good, so I'm like, I have to trade this guy, and yeah. I just get that itch, man, and it's time to go. We show the guy the door, and I'm just not afraid to make that move. And guys, out there in college football fantasy land, you have to operate that way, in my opinion, because we're talking about a 12-game sprint. This is not 18 weeks, 17 games. This is not 82 in the NBA. This is not 162 in Major League Baseball. This is a 12-game sprint. It is not a marathon. And if you're 0-2 with Drake May and you trot him back out there against Minnesota, now we're looking at 0-3 and your season is in real peril, okay?
Right.
Move him while you still can. Now, I got to give you a lot of credit, Josh. First of all, going back to Drake May for a minute, you were talking about Chip Lindsey to me earlier in the season when I still had very, very bullish thoughts about Drake May, right? And when you said that, it was in one of our shows earlier, and you said it about Chip Lindsey, and I'm like, oh my God, I think I screwed up with Drake May. It was like haunting, right? And I'm like, but I still had hope, right? Maybe Josh is wrong. Maybe Chip Lindsey won't ruin Drake May. And I've seen through 2 weeks, he literally has ruined Drake May. So my eye test and what I know merged with you kind of haunting me there about Chip Lindsey. Like literally, like I thought of you Saturday night when I moved Cam Ward. I'm like, Josh told me about this Chip Lindsey thing. I got to get out now. So you also told me and our people here on Fantasy Points, it's the prop show with Cam and Josh about Darius Taylor of Minnesota. Okay. They start the season in the offseason buzz with Sean Tyler, the transfer, and he's going to be the guy and all this kind of stuff. And we know Minnesota and PJ Fleck prefers a bell cow guy. I think they found their bell cow last week, Josh.
Yeah. That was an interesting game, huh? 33 carries for Darius Taylor.
33 carries, baby. That's what we're talking about, Josh.
I mean, that's our boy from Mo Ibrahim. That's those type of numbers that he's putting up. And I mean, I think you watch Darius Taylor play and you see the contact balance and the vision that he has, and it's exciting to see. Sean Tyler still got, he still got 17 carries in that game against Eastern Michigan last week. So it's not like, they were determined to run the ball. So how much they do that in the future, I'm not sure. But I think Darius Taylor looked really good, and I think he's the best back in that backfield. I think he at least gets another shot this week against North Carolina, who's not a great run defense. And I think Darius Taylor can have another big game here. And Sean Tyler's not just going to get kicked to the curb, right? He's got a role in that offense for sure. But Darius Taylor, 18 to 20 carries a game. I can definitely see that for him. The big question, right, for me with Taylor for the rest of this year, he's 205 pounds, right? Now he's got the frame to get bigger, but can he sustain that workload in the Big Ten schedule this entire year? That's my only question, but I sure hope so because I love the guy, and I picked him up in as many leagues as I could this week off the waiver wire. So hopefully he sticks.
I'm sure you did, my friend. I'm sure you did. So let's talk about a couple of games against the spread, and then we will wish the people good luck here. Got to talk Deion in Colorado. Josh, it is released by me this week. It's my best bet, minus 23. Look, man, it's personal, as we talked about. The 50 to 24 score at Colorado State with Washington State going in there resonates in my brain. I think Deion is going to get his team to 50 for the first time in his coaching career in major college football. So I see a big time feel good Buffalo party once again up there in the great city of Boulder. Do you like Colorado State plus the points, or do you like Deion and the bus to stay 3-0 against the spread, or go to 3-0 against the spread, I should say?
Yeah, I think they're 3-0 and against the spread in this one. I think this is like you said, this is a smash. This is a best bet for sure. Because, dude, again, I mean, I don't want to rehash the same narratives. Deion loves attention, right? He's not gonna slow down the horses if they can put up points, right? He wants the media, he wants the flash, and I think ultimately he's gonna light up the scoreboard on Colorado State in 23. Colorado State's having quarterback issues, let alone they're going to have trouble potentially scoring themselves. And so Colorado's, Colorado's going to light them up for at least 50. And so it's like, can they even get to 17 points, let alone 27? I don't know if Colorado State can put up 27 points. And that for me makes this an easy to go with Colorado.
I like it. Let's get some winners here, man. And then my other best bet this week, Josh, is the Louisville and Indiana game. Again, neutral field at Lucas Oil Stadium, home of the Colts. Louisville is laying 10 here. I don't think this is a fair fight in terms of talent in the uniform. Louisville has studs that fly around and make plays. Indiana is like this humdrum transitional team. They've got like 6 returning starters from last year. They're about to fire Tom Allen. It's an ish show in Indiana right now. I like Louisville's defense. You've got Taven Jackson taking over now and starting for Indiana at quarterback. He did not throw for a touchdown last week against FCS Indiana State. So I'll check up right there. I like Louisville on a neutral field minus 10 against Indiana. Where are you at with that one?
Yeah, I'm with you. I like that call. I mean, I think Louisville definitely, they're the offensive firepower alone. And that's just something that at this point, Indiana just can't match unless Jalen Lucas has another repeat game of 10 carries, 80 yards, and 2 touchdowns or something. But I don't see that against Louisville. Louisville's a good team. I mean, there's a lot of people that feel like they could be, one of the dark horse sleepers to get to the ACC championship game. And so, and Indiana, I mean, even when they played great, maybe great defense is overstatement, but they played good defense against Ohio State and they just couldn't put up the points, right? If you can't put up points, you're not going to stick, you're not going to keep with Jeff Brom. And Jeff Brom has familiarity with Indiana, being a Big Ten head coach for the last several years. I just think that there's just too much that's going to work against Indiana and Tom Allen in this one. So I'm with you, man. I like Louisville, minus 10 for sure.
Now, I will not load this one. I will just ask you. Ohio State is at home at the Shoe, and they are laying 29 against Western Kentucky. Where are you at with this one?
Man, if you could told me that Malachi Corley's playing in this game, then I think I'm going with Western Kentucky. I think they're going to be able to do enough. I'm not saying that they're going to keep up with them, but man, we know the offensive firepower that Western Kentucky has and can have. And I think that that's close enough to where I'm gonna go with Western Kentucky on that, to be honest.
Ooh. So I'm on Western Kentucky here. It's not a best bet. It's a 1 unit to win 1 unit kind of play here, because of the Malachi Corley thing. I did read on Twitter some encouraging stuff about Malachi Corley playing in this football game. I honestly like it anyway because of the system and because of the quarterback. Austin Reed is a potential future NFL guy. I'm not like a hot shot like Caleb Williams or Drake May,
Right.
but scouts will be watching him in this game. This year, he's got 589, 6 scores through the air, completing 68%. Last year, threw for almost 4,800 yards and 40 touchdowns. It's the system, it's his talent. And you know me, Josh, I am fading Ohio State, man. Yeah, first half against Youngstown State. Kyle McCord and Marvin Harrison got busy. Cool. Okay. Then they powered down in the second half when they should have totally gone in for the kill. And
Yeah.
I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. And so I
Yeah.
don't think they're 29 points better than an air raid offense with a veteran, prolific college football quarterback. So I will take Western Kentucky plus the 29. They were good to us, Josh, against South Florida with a cover on our watch here in week 1. But Josh, before we get out of here, anything you want to tell the people about where to read you, where to watch you, where to hear you, anything you want to promote here before we get out of here?
Yeah. Well, one quick thing, we got a question in our chat over here, so I want to hit this question
What
up
do we
real
got?
quick.
Yeah, what do we got?
So we got one of our guys said, "What's up, gang? Are we buying in on Quinn Ewers' rebound?" And being that I'm in Austin, Texas, we got to talk about this because my guy, like Quinn Ewers, he looked really good against Bama this last week. And so here's what I would say to this question about Quinn Ewers. I'm buying that Sark finally changed up his play calling and wasn't stubborn enough to like go, man, Quinn's just not throwing the deep ball well right now. Let's throw intermediate and short passes and let him gain some confidence. And they did that against Bama ad nauseum. And then once he got some confidence, they hit a couple deep shots as well. But I'm buying that Sark seems to have understood the pieces he has, Quinn's strengths, and he's willing to play to those instead of being stubborn in his play calling. And I think this could, man, if Quinn Ewers can get his deep ball on track and get over that mental hurdle, like that offense is unbelievable. And we'll see ultimately. But I'm buying the Quinn Ewers rebound ultimately. I think he's a change due. I think he's different this year.
I mean, look, he just went into Alabama and beat Nick Saban. Okay, Sark joined Jimbo Fisher and Kirby Smart is the only former assistants to beat Nick Saban. Nick Saban is now 28-3 in his career against former assistants. This is not a breakthrough win. This is a colossal breakthrough win for Sark, for Quinn Ewers. The big ball he threw, the OTS joint. I thought he threw it so high, like straight up in the air. I was like, it looked like a bad ball off his hand. Okay, it wasn't. It was a perfect loft ball right down into the breadbasket to his receiver. A.D. Mitchell is getting busy in both games. All right, Sanders, their tight end, is getting busy in both games. They've got weapons. Ewers has his hair appropriately cut here. We're not doing the Joe Dirt thing anymore. We're we're trying to get a little professional here with the look, and I like it. As he tries to go to the NFL ain't trying to work with some dude with a mullet, man. They ain't trying to go there. And so let's get, corporate the NFL is. No, I'm buying it, man. I'm buying it. Now, if he threw for 215, 1 TD, 3 picks last week at Alabama, not a hot topic of conversation at that point. But I mean, yeah, then that's the Quinn Ewers that I kind of thought was going to show up. I saw Quinn Ewers slice and dice Alabama, and I don't care. I know injuries in the secondary and all that kind of stuff for Bama, but the guy was nails. The guy was clutch.
Yeah.
The guy went into Tuscaloosa, and he didn't beat Alabama. He convincingly beat Alabama. So I am completely sold, man. And now, and I tweeted this out last Saturday, I'm not saying Texas is going to be in the college football playoff, but now I'm like, oh, yeah, that absolutely could happen. Whereas before I was like, I just wasn't feeling Quinn Ewers, but you went and beat Alabama, man. So I'm sold. I'm here for the ride now with Texas, man. I think they can go to the playoff. I really do.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. So thanks for letting me talk about Texas a little bit. I had to answer that question and have this conversation. But man, any of our stuff, we are over at Fantasy Points, right? And we have, our full college football package. betting, props, DFS. We got every slate that we're writing up. That's a multi-game slate during the week. The Saturday main slate, we got a live stream, and we got a ton of projections. We got it all, man. We have been busy and lots of content over there. And all of our college football content is included with our NFL premium package. So if you're an NFL guy, like, you get both of that stuff. And man, it's been a lot of fun. Just helping people make a little bit of money, and they're paying off their subscription very quickly. So it's very exciting right now over at Fantasy Points.
It's very exciting to be here, Josh. Week 3. Thanks for bringing me into this, man. And we're rocking and rolling with the articles and with the releases that are going out on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Off to a decent start here, looking to stay hot with some ATS deliveries. But Josh, for you, for Tom Tipple, and for everybody watching here, go make some cash on college football. Guys, remember, it is the wild, wild west. There is still value out there with college football. There is no value anywhere on the betting board in the NFL. Nowhere. There's no value. It's all picked clean by all of you sharps out there, okay? There is still value on the board in college football, and we have taken you through a lot of it here on the Prop Show on Fantasy Points. So like I said, for Josh, for Tom, I'm Cam. We will see you next week. Go make some money on college football this week, people. Peace.